Oh, morning, morning, morning. Time for the morning buzz. Hey, Flo, how's it going? You ready for the big weekend? Ah, well, we had a cold snap last night. It's 62 out right now. It was 82 out yesterday at this time. Good sleeping weather, though. I didn't sleep a bit myself, but I'm sure other people may have. But let's see what we have here. We'll clean a little romaine. You don't give them the center part of the white, big, thick stem. It's kind of hard for them to digest. So you just pull that little part out of the middle and leaf them up. We love our leaves. Let's see how hungry you are today, reptar. You see the food? Manna from heaven. It gives it the old evil eye. What, you thinking it's too much to move? Reptar. I know I didn't bring nothing for me to eat. That usually helps. I have coffee though. Nice hot black coffee. It's probably spilled all over in here. Oh yeah. Look at that steaming coffee cup, Reptar. Don't you want some coffee? Probably hard to hear me over the fans. I tried to move them farther away to see if it would help. Mmm, yummy, yummy. He does his best tricks when I have the cage empty, and he tries to run across the bottom of glass. I'll leave the hammock up and he'll hang on it, but upside down or sideways, or he can't get up on it. I really don't want to give you any more mealworms because no, they're eating them. Good old hard look at anything that moves, just like a fish. Lazy lizard. He's not as talented as my unicorn that can poop M&Ms, so you just have to settle with him moving once a day to crawl over to the food pit. All right, Flo. See, he's taking off because you're not doing anything. Cheers. Oh, made the coffee strong today. Come on, Stuff and Puff. I feel like I should fill the dead air space with more dead air. Is that wrong? We had the heat lamp on you all night. You should be pretty warm. All those months of the grandkids feeding you while you're laid there. When you're too lazy to even get up and get your own food. Want my blood pressure pills? Reptar, reptar, reptar. You're gonna make me throw them over. You aren't punishing me by not eating. Don't. Oh, the bloggers you have might not appreciate you, but nobody's on, so you're good. The stream lasts until you eat. Not like I have anything better to do. None of my tricks worked this morning, huh? Boy, you're a most exciting wizard today. Maybe we should be talking to Gertrude here. Hey, Gertrude. Do you want to eat, Gertrude? Gertrude's my unicorn keychain. And there is still around. Hello. No, no, open today. Shit, we're 5 degrees colder than up north. know if they were going to get the notices. After 15 minutes, they should have got them. Oh, coffee, weed, and smoke. Smoking. I know it's an odd time of day to live stream, but it's the time he eats. I feed him in the afternoon, and he'll let it dry up overnight and not eat it. Now, before I went on my trip, for a month and a half, I moved him up a little at a time until he could get fed in the afternoon if my grandkids would have come in the house and fed him after school. Of course, they didn't feed him at all, so he went about 4 days without food. But he usually eats if I eat breakfast. If there was one live thing in there, he would be all over it. Morning, Blue. No fires here. Well, apparently reptar is pulling. I'm not ready to eat. He hadn't taken his eye off his food, but he's been sitting there for 15 minutes. I'm going to try and turn them. They don't have to, it doesn't have to be a full turn. It just, you're trying to just keep the bottom part from rotting. And if your soil underneath is sand where it drains away, it's not a big issue. It's just when it holds the water. I mean, it's already got a natural wax-like substance to seal the outside rind, but it'll still rot if it sits in a puddle of water. You can tell the best if you go to turn them and they're damp underneath. That's, if they're dry underneath, you really don't need to turn them. As we grew ours, we had all sand in a corner of a big clay field the farmer let us use, and we would take orange tile, round tile, and bury it about 3 feet underground, and then have it about 4.5 feet. So we put a mound on top of that, and there'd just be the hole of the pipe on the top, and you plant your seeds in that, and then they come out and they go down the mound so the water would run away. So we really never had to turn them. But oh man, did they grow. It was the year I over-fertilized the corn. Way over-fertilized it. And our stalks grew 12 feet high, and our ears were over 20 inches long. It was some of the sweetest, I think it was Butter and Sugar was the name brand. I mean, that's the only time I've ever eaten corn where you only eat one ear of corn. I was registered in 4-H for woodworking, and I built a chest of drawers, and I was registered for rabbits, and I bred 7 generations of rabbits, and I, at the last minute, entered in the agriculture and won the corn contest. I brought in 1 stalk with 2 ears on it. Kind of cheated. I think I got $1.50 or $3. I think you got if you got the top ribbon. But we just turned all our cash right into oat seeds so that we could grow our own oats. The 2 of us were responsible for the oats for the 100 chickens and the oats for our rabbits. He left the truck for a minute. I'm not sure if he's back yet. He's riding around listening, he said. Okay. Let me know how it works out. I'll stay on. I'm going to have to get up and get a cup of coffee in a minute. Anytime now, we're up there. I'm going to take your food. Nobody's watching her up there, so don't do anything. are going to go there, huh? Wait me out. Nope, not there. Were they wet underneath? One of the other things that will, yeah, that's chlorophyll and sunlight. As long as your leaves are all nice and healthy and they don't have a bunch of bug holes in them or turn yellow, you'll keep putting water into those babies. Okay. When the leaves are yellow, they aren't working as well as when they're green. They're drawing more energy than they help because it's a closed system. So if like the leaves have holes in them, that leaf can't draw the water from the soil because the water follows the heat. So when it gets warm, it's drawn up right into the leaves, and then as it cools down, the ground's warm, the water settles back down into the earth. That's how it flushes the plant itself. Then the roots build up nitrates, and none of that's really important. It's just you keep the leaves healthy. Yeah, that's. You see, even in the store, you'll see pumpkins that have, or watermelons, and one side is yellower. It's not a problem. It's just the sunlight. Yep. They'll actually never get as dark as the rest of the rind, but like I said, it's just a sunlight thing. But we're looking pretty healthy though. Yeah, no soft spots. That reminds me of them making the chocolate eggs over in, I think it's France or somewhere. Maybe it's Switzerland, I don't remember. I watched the video. Like this huge egg about a foot hollow, and then they set it out in the behind the building, and there's buildings in Europe are real close together, so the sun comes up and hits the eggs, and it only has the little narrow piece of sky from like 15 feet wide alley, and it melts a hole right in the top corner of the chocolate, and then they fill the inside. So yeah, when they start to rot, there'll be a soft spot. But usually most of the rot is when they set them in the wet soil. But that's why we, even with the sand, had them on an angle so the water ran away from them. But you'll find out on your own. A couple of years, 3 years of it, and you'll see what works best for you. And a lot of it, each different kind you try, some they might have little differences. Did you put them in this year or last year? Some strawberries are alternate year producers. I got to spend a couple of years on the fruit farm up north on Nugent Farms. Ted's cousin worked the strawberry fields and the apple orchards, the cherry orchards. Worked for the co-op, pull and roll out, harvesting cherries. I was working a 12-hour shift, pulling tarp. You plant your feet in the ground, and the canvas is under the tree on both sides, and the shaker comes in and shakes all the cherries, and then you hold it while the machine rolls it back in. You basically plant your feet about 3 inches in the ground, and it drags you right back to it. I do that for 12 hours, and I get on the tractor, drive for 2 hours, hook up the drag, and drag this field they're going to plant asparagus in. And for about 3 hours, drive the tractor back for 2 hours. Get in the truck, drive home, change clothes, take a shower, come back, start my next day. I made it through 6 weeks of that at 18. Yeah, that field was 220 acres of asparagus. Oh my goodness. You could go out there and walk 100 yards and pick a bushel full of the just quarter-inch thick asparagus. It's just so tasty. I lived out in a section that was owned by the electric company. They wanted to put in a nuclear power plant, but after Michigan built the one in Midland and it was sinking in the clay, they said no way. So they leased it back to the farmers for $1 an acre. And I had 7 kinds of apples around the house. Apricots, peaches, pears, and I mean I had some good apples. I had a couple of spy trees that had just huge 8, 10-inch high apples. 2 apples to a pie. Oh man. Now I go to the grocery store and I look at the fruit and I go, it tastes like crap. The whole family got spoiled up there eating good fruit. I was talking to my mom the other day. She says, yeah, I don't know, man. It's just, you can't buy fruit in the store. Don't taste good. But she still does. She buys it and makes syrup out of everything. Strawberry syrup, cherry syrup, grape syrup, apple butter. Oh, they're working on my road to go to the store. I drove on it last week and it was all that where they grind it into, looks like little ridges all the way across. Oh, I got used to real maple syrup up north. Oh, there's a change from Aunt Jemima to real. It's like, where's the sweetness? This is bitter as shit. Now, I remember when they did the 115 years back where they had the whole thing lined up for about 3 miles, and the front was tearing us up and the back was leveling it out. And they just walked that thing down 115. But here they've got to get it done before school, so last summer they did the road that's south of me that runs between the 2 highways, 231 and 31. That thing was nothing but bumps. Now it's a straight shot. People are flying down through there. Yeah, but the worst thing I noticed was they repaved the street that comes from the park all the way to my street, and about half of it they repaved, which got rid of the speed bump. I see they cut the hole for the speed bump again. I hate that. It's like, just why don't you just crack me in the back with a hammer every time I have to leave? Well, I understand their purpose and they do work, but yeah, they're painful. It's quite a jolt, no matter how slow you go across there. You're almost better hitting it at 30. Let the shocks take it. But actually, the roads don't get tore up nearly as bad as they did when they used to dump salt on them all the time. Yeah, well, I'm in a trailer park. And they have them at every quick exit or quick shortcut. But the main drive, when they repaved it, didn't have it put in it. So we got through almost a whole year without a speed bump. I went through there the other day going, that looks like they, holy shit, they cut a hole in the road. I wasn't paying much attention, I guess. we have them in parking lots too. Like beside a Target, where they got a road that comes, or a street that lane that comes up by the building, and then the main one that goes in front, and they'll have speed bumps there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. They don't have anyone on the city streets. Alright, not crickets, mealworms. I'm gonna have to have, I bought a chicken-sized bag of mealworms, but I'm gonna have to buy some real ones. You can keep them for quite a while just by leaving them in the bag in the fridge. They'll stay for a couple months. You lose a few, but there's this bedding you can buy that they grow in, and then they multiply, and you don't ever have to buy them again. You're just gonna ignore your food, aren't you? I know you're warm enough because I had the blanket or towel over all night with a heat lamp, so your color's beautiful. You should see how light he gets when he's cold. He turns almost a light yellow. Loses all that darkness. I heard about a standoff where cops were being shot, and somebody's live was on, but no, I didn't. I haven't seen anything on YouTube this morning about it or anything. I think it was around the time AK Mommy came on. I couldn't stay awake any longer. I got about a half hour sleep and was up the rest of the night, but I had turned the computer off, which is scary. I don't know if it'll ever come back on each time I turn it off. 5 were injured. Yeah, I'll look around on YouTube again. Somebody should have it up posted by now. I don't use cable anymore. Hey, you're up already? Wow, hello, twin mommy. I needed another moderator. Keep things calm in here. We're at a standoff. Reptar's been fed, but he's not eating. I don't know if it's the fact that it's cloudy, or he's just protesting his food blog. I don't know. But it's good to see you in here. I like watching your live streams. I know. Yeah. Kids actually affect how much you sleep, don't they? I like your discussions, Twin Mama. They don't have much sugar coating on them. But yeah, Blue, I'll check and see what that is. Well, sometimes mine are different. Mostly, I'm just trying to get back into. So I'm showing Reptar eat. I haven't done any night streams or rant streams or YouTube's messed with me so much that streamlabs I can barely tell what I'm doing here. Yeah, you're gonna have a lot of company today. That was always hard for me because at the time I was so time effective in the kitchen. I didn't want a bunch of, or even anybody in my kitchen while I was cooking. I'd just leave and let them do it. Everybody has their own reality, so it's basically you don't want to not associate with them because they have a different view on something. Are you so sure you're right on your view? I mean, I like to hear opposing views. And I mean, some of the best memories I have are when everybody traveled to Grandma's house for holidays and whatnot, funerals, whatever, and everybody was at Grandma's house. We drove through the blizzard of '69 and in Grandma's house that had holes dug in the snow to get to the door, in the door, out the door, back door. Well, you pretty much got to cook for them, unless you have a Pizza Hut right next door. Hey, Epson, I hear that you're a kept man now, that you get to go online because your girlfriend lets you. I love your streams. Your foodie, although I couldn't afford the ingredients you use. Not right now, anyway. It'll be a house full. I love your crafting too. It's so unique. Reminds me of growing up on the farm and having to make things work. Mother, necessity, the mother of invention, kind of thing. Yeah, it's good to see you back on. Uh, well, thanks for coming in. I don't do much cooking. I can't stand up long enough to cook much, so on a real tight budget, it's easy to just get things that are quick. Well, I'm not monetized. It don't really matter. Twin Mafia. This is a support channel, and I just let you guys support me a little back. It helps to know that you can talk to people. Then I think on the scale, there's friends, work friends, and internet friends. And right now, I think internet friends are a little better than work friends. apps and just about every feeding time now that I'm on Streamlabs and it lets me go live again. Even though it's my home computer, YouTube stopped giving me the right program to go live. This is actually the longest he's went between the time I put the food in and he eats. But I think it might be the weather today. We dropped 20 degrees outside from yesterday and probably 10 degrees in here. They eat lizard in lots of places. There just isn't a lot of meat. It's like a frog. You'd get those back legs, and maybe the tail would make a good soup. Oh, are you hearing this, reptar? Jawbone, the jaw probably's got some muscle in it. You can take. Oh, I live off the lane too much. I raised bunnies and ate them. I don't know. Which was crazy because back in the mid-70s, you could sell rabbit meat to Kroger's grocery store for the same price they sold New York strip steak for. I've had snake twice, and I tell you, the best way is when you're starving and it's over a campfire. It's like eating a turkey neck, only without as much meat. Well, that's his position for most of the day, hanging off the side of the hammock. He basically comes down to eat, and then, depending on the temperature, defecate. Usually waits till I clean the cage. But it's better than you watching me. I mean, how pathetic would that be? Drinking out of a 3-ounce coffee cup, smoking a bowl, then a cigarette, then another cup of coffee, and then another bowl. Well, we had lots of turtle shells because we ate snapping turtles. And I'm sorry, but that is, I know we've talked about this before, actually. That's the best soup there is. I have never tasted anything with as much flavor, different flavors. 7 kinds of meat, and by far the most interesting animal to clean there is. When you need huge pliers, a huge knife, a small knife, bolt cutters, and the meat's still alive several hours after the animal's dead. And the head of a snapping turtle 3 days later, if you put a stick in it, it'll still swallow the stick out the other side of its throat. Snapping turtles are just way cool for the things they do dead. We would fall along the edge of the river and railroad tracks, and they would come up to lay their eggs. And my dad and uncle would run right in after them. And then we had a station wagon, one of those old ones that had the back door opened either way, and there was a little pull latch, and there was a hole underneath there for storage, and we would put the snapping turtles in there, and you'd have to sit on it. And damn, they're strong. They'd lift me up 2 or 3 inches, and I would be terrified. I was like 6 or 8 years old. It was crazy. And then we go swimming in the same places we catch snapping turtles without thinking anything about it. Yeah, I watched a couple of videos on the see how they did it, but they pretty much did the same thing to clean them. You are not interested in eating today, are you? That's like pike. Well, I used to do a family fishing when I married my second wife. Her family would fish out on this lake on the edge of town and pike fish on Saturday mornings. And I would use live bait, and the six of them would use dead bait on a Swedish hook, and I would catch as many fish as they would together. And then they'd let me take them home. They didn't like cleaning them. They were a mess. They didn't. After about 8 years of that, we went fishing on another lake, and we were there in the evening and hungry, so I cleaned 2 fish and fried them up, and that was the last time they ever offered me their pike. We didn't know this stuff was that good. Or you can clean it that easy. Oh, shepherd's pie. Meat, potatoes, and cheese? And the first wife's family were, whatever they were, they made pierogies, meat, and they make these pies that you held in your hand that were meat and potatoes. Really tasty, too. The bread was awesome. All right, Blue. Have a good one. You just aren't going to eat, are you? Oh, I love taking care of the little ones. I was so fortunate I got to be the nanny for all 3 of my grandkids. The first one lived at my house, and the next 2 were I lived at their house, rented a apartment. Now they're 5, 6, and 11. They were supposed to come over the other day and blow bubbles, but it was too hot. I have a single wide and a double wide pad, and they'll chalk the pad all up, and we'll blow some nice bubbles. They got these 12-inch rings that'll blow real easily, blow foot bubbles that are beautiful colors. We went through gallons of bubble blowing when I watched them at their house. Well, I'm really fortunate. My grandkids are tiny. I mean, they are small. And it's good because they climb on me like monkeys, and if they were any bigger, they'd tear me up. And three of them really now are, and I hate to admit it because I used to be pissed at my ex because she would only take one at a time. The three of them are a handful if you can't get around very well. But I don't like splitting them up because that just causes more problems. Tyler weighs 40 pounds. My 6-year-old granddaughter weighs 38 pounds. And I think half of it's a brain because they are smart. I don't know who trained them as little kids, but whoever had their minds for the first 2 years of their life, oh, that was me. Oh, I mean, both of the ones that are in school full time end up top of their class every year. Oh man, 3 feet tall as a toddler. Woo. And my grandson had to play in the younger age group baseball this year because the kids in his group are just so much bigger. And even some of them are bigger. There's a 6-year-old that's my daughter's girlfriend's kid, and they stand next to each other, and the 6-year-old's bigger than him. Well, my wife was 5'3", and I'm only 5'10", so. And you don't know because I was 4'11" for like 5 years, and then one summer I grew 11 inches. It was very painful. Now they'd probably put me in a hospital and said there was something wrong with me and create some new thing that you had to treat. And wrestling's a good sport. You need to get him into running or jogging or something to build up the muscles' ability to use the oxygen without building the lactic acids, because wrestling is 100% energy on lots of muscles all at the same time. Um, I swear they do. I swear that they. I mean, I spent a lot of time in the time I was a teenager living out of the Library of Congress, basically reading everything there was on the mind, the brain, the blood, all the doctors that were putting articles in journals and read them, and then you get in this day and age, and it's crazy. All the new things that didn't exist, but all of a sudden they're there and horrible, and we have to treat them. When when you couldn't keep a kid's attention in school in my day and age, it's because you weren't giving them enough to interest them. You needed to up it up. Oh, well, I was a 70-hour-a-week blue collar worker, and And I've just put muscle on every year. Went from graduating at 144 to 10 years later 244 with 3 ounces of body fat. And then you hurt yourself. And you can't do nothing. So it's like I ate myself and now I'm twice as big. You go from burning thousands and thousands of calories a day to a couple hundred. No, that was a big fight my ex and I had was sending him to a shrink and then accepting the findings. My daughter, we went to Christian counseling, and after the 4th visit, I went in the room with my daughter and the counselor, and that poor lady, she said, "You two don't have a healthy relationship," because we were bantering, because the questions were ridiculous. So my daughter and I were bantering back and forth, making jokes of them, and she was making jokes that the counselor was like over her head. Yeah, there was a problem. There's always a problem. I have yet to have one doctor explain to me what normal is. And we're by nature all a product of mutation, so why would everything be alike if nature requires mutation for survival? But you youngins don't remember the day and age where somebody said something to you and you just, what the fuck? I don't care. Do whatever you want. You don't affect me to, oh my God, you're triggering me. You're talking too loud. I don't know if you saw any of the bits from the Socialist Democratic Convention, but oh my God, the guys would stand up, oh my God, you called here, oh my God, all the chattering, it's triggering me, you have to stop. But I don't know, I thought I was weird because at a young age I had to fight to be able to see the blackboard, so I lost my peer group and became an individual in kindergarten. When you take on the school board because they won't let you sit close enough to the blackboard to read it. You stop worrying about peer pressure and what other people think, and you take responsibility for yourself. The relationship I just got out of was all about, you make me, it's your fault, you did this, you did that, and that makes me, other than at the point of a gun or a knife, you really can't make anybody feel or do anything. Yeah, that's like the courts in the county I had my divorce in. They were 100 years behind. They literally said that men are not capable of taking care of children. My brother was the first male to get custody of his kids in Benzie County ever. And he only got it because he stayed at home with his mom. But I'm kind of glad they don't keep up with everything because, I mean, if Michigan was like California, I'd get the hell out of Michigan. Yeah, my problem was the opposite. I would make the teacher learn. I didn't feel it was necessarily their job to teach me, but if they were going to try to teach me something wrong, it was my job to correct them. They were messing around with a nearly identical memory and over 180 IQ, so in the first grade, they were outmatched totally. And then our whole school system was a social experiment. They divided the kids up into 5 classes based on their intelligence, and then over the 5 years of going to school there, after 3 years they had to take 2 smart kids out of the top 2 classes and put them in the other 3 classes because they were so far behind, even though they covered the same material. I was unfortunately one of them that got put in the grade 5 class. But I don't see why any of it was right or justified. I got into the 8th grade, we got halfway through the 8th grade, and we just finished up on the Civil War. And then they took our books. They took my history book from me. And they said, the next half of the year, you're going to write a report on the Civil War. And I'm like, well, what about World War I, World War II? Well, we're not allowed to teach you that. It's been deemed irrevocable damage to how you feel about other nations if we teach you about what happened in history. And they had to take my book. I held on as hard as I could to it. I'm like, I get this. This is my book. This isn't your book till the end of the year. I signed it out. But no, they took it away. But the craziest thing was the charter schools for my kids. It was, my daughter got pregnant at 16 and they put her in a charter school after the baby was born, and basically she got 4 years of high school credits going to the charter school for 1 year. Yeah, that was the problem Beth had. She was bullied every school she was in because she was so little. And at the time, my ex-wife, would not allow me to go into the school, would not allow me to call the school. She said, if you get started, there'll just be trouble. I wish I hadn't listened to her, but I knew darn well I was going to end up in jail, so they wouldn't do nothing about the bullying, no matter how many times it happened. So I'd get a call from school. My daughter was in the bathroom in this nurse's lounge sick because she got sick when people bullied her. She got worked up, and that was her way of getting out. So I had to go to school and pick her up every day until we finally took her out and put her in charter school. But I couldn't believe they were giving her credits. They'd have write a report and they'll give you a whole year of credit for English. But she's done well. She got out of school, dropped 3 kids. She works hard. Her husband works hard. They have a great life. They enjoy everything they do together. So does it really matter that she didn't get the normal education? What good is the normal education anyway? That was my big argument in college. You go to college and you get a job, and they're going to teach you on that job how they want you to do things anyway. I went for a year, tutored through most of it, got 53 credits in 3 semesters, but my grade point average sucked. It was like 373, I think. Barely a B plus. That's alright, Upson. Thanks for hanging out, man. Hope to see you again. Maybe he'll actually eat during one of the... It's the first time he hasn't, by the way. I really think it's the weather. You're welcome back anytime, Upson. I had a lot of fun practicing my translations. Ooh. That first hit. Ooh. Yeah, now you got so much food in there, I'm going to have to throw it away, aren't I? Clean the cage maybe later. And stand up long enough. Our schools are still old school, and I've checked a couple times. They don't have any of the crazy classes, or I mean, it's not that much different here than it was when I was young. So I think you get closer to the bigger cities, and that would change. But these small rural schools still teach math and English and science and give you grades. That's just crazy. I know it was an industrial schooling system trained to turn out factory workers, but like everything else, the school system is corrupted. It's inevitable. I think I'm going to end the stream and go check and see if I can figure out what happened with all those cops last night. When I was watching your stream, I'd seen something about it, but that's pretty tired. But I'll see you next time on your stream or my stream, AK. Enjoy the family. And I'm sorry about your mom. Alright, we gone.